Live long and prosper.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Shut up and take my money.
By Grabthar's hammer. What a saving.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
X never, ever marks the spot.
Winter is coming.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Stay a while and listen.
Hey, old Kermit the Frog here.
Bow ties are cool.
So say we all.
This is a Play on Nerds.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 93 of A Play on Nerds. This episode is a little unusual because initially we were going to be doing a review of the movie The Postman in a new segment where we were going to watch one movie that one of us hates, me or Steve, and the other person loves. In this case, I loved the movie The Postman, and he hates it. And it's pretty much universally reviled of a film because it was a huge flop and cost millions and millions and millions of dollars to create. But I love the movie. He hated it. We had a great discussion about how great and bad it was. It was really funny. We reviewed some trailers. We had some games. But the episode was corrupted. The recording was corrupted, so we lost everything. It's very sad. This only happened to us one other time in our 4 years of podcasting for Play on Nerds, so we're very sad about that. But we did have one segment of the podcast, which was where we interviewed Shawn Vanderloo, who is a real-life postman in Canada. And he's also the host of two podcasts. We have The Rusted Robot, which is a nerd culture kind of podcast, kind of like ours. We're kind of sister podcasts in a lot of ways, started around the same time. And also the Soul Forge podcast, which is a newer podcast that he does. And he'll talk more about that later on. But we had an interview with him, and that went well. It did not get corrupted. So we have that available for you now to listen to, where Shawn will talk to us about being a real-life postman. It's a pretty funny conversation, the goods and the bads of that job, that profession. And yeah, so that's what we have for you this week. We're really sorry we lost the rest of the episode, but we will be back again pretty soon. It might be a little bit because we are moving studios. The Play on Nerd Studios is moving in the next couple of weeks, so we'll have an even better space, better recording equipment, so it'll sound better, and it will also not be corrupted again, hopefully. We'll have safeguards in place. This will not happen again. But we thank you for joining us, and we do hope you enjoy the interview with Shawn Vanderloo, host of the Rusted Robot and Soul Forge podcasts, and a real-life postman. So enjoy the interview.
Oh, yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait, hey, Mr. Postman. Whoa, yeah.
All right, so in honor of watching The Postman and talking about that later in the episode, we have a special guest today who is a real-life postman and also a fellow podcaster. We have Shawn Vanderloo. Welcome, Shawn.
It's great to be here.
Well, back, in fact, right?
Back, that's right. You've been in the show once or twice. I think twice, at least.
Once or twice, and I've sent in a couple little mini audio recording clips.
Yeah, we played your promos. So, real quick, what are the other podcasts that you host?
Oh, well, I'm glad that you asked. I host the Rusted Robot podcast, which can be found therustedrobot.podbean.com. And that's kind of a similar podcast to A Play on Nerds. We talk about movie trailers and casting news and celebrity deaths. We talk about collectibles and robots and toys and you name it.
And science.
Science, yes. we do talk about science. So yeah, it comes out every Sunday. We just recorded episode 195 this morning.
Jeez.
Wow.
We did actually mention you on the podcast because I mentioned that I was going to be on your show for this.
Oh, cool. Very nice.
Yeah.
And actually, listeners, they actually release their things on time every week. It's pretty crazy.
They don't break your heart over and over again the way we do.
we do. And then I host another podcast that actually, Jarman, you gave me the audio introduction for.
That's right.
I never got to thank you in person, so thank you for that.
Oh, no problem.
And it's called the Soul Forge Podcast, or soulforgepodcast.com. And I talk about life, the universe, and everything, but mostly it's an excuse to talk about stupid things I've done because of girls.
Yeah.
I like to call that podcast the Uncomfortable but Relatable and You'll Think About Things podcast.
That's it exactly. It's kind of like a self-therapy session, but I also interview people and get their perspective on things. And I need more listeners, so if a Play on Nerd listeners are looking for another podcast to listen to, it's only about 25 minutes per episode, so it'll fit right in.
Yeah, it's very palatable.
And we do have a lot of British listeners, so be ready to accept some people from across the pond.
I love the people from across the pond.
All right.
They're wonderful.
They are.
So, Shawn, how long have you been a part of the Postal Service?
As a matter of fact, on the 11th of April, I just celebrated 11 years.
Oh, wow. Nice. So how'd you first become a postal carrier? What do they call it there? What's the proper name?
Letter carrier.
Letter carrier.
Letter carrier.
Because you are in Canada.
And is it just the Canadian Postal Service, or is there a different name?
It's Canada Post Corporation.
Okay.
It's a corporation, so is it like a private company?
How is it? It's a crown corporation, which means it's government run. Our wages are paid by the stamps that we sell and all that stuff. It's not taxpayer money.
Huh.
That's really all I know. All I know is that I get paid every 2 weeks, and good for me.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
You know.
So yeah, how'd you first become a letter carrier?
Oh, well, I was working at the call center, taking phone calls for Sprint long distance, which was soul-crushing and mind-numbing. And I needed out because I was turning 30. And so I went into the post office and I said I'd like an application. So I applied. I wanted to be the guy who worked behind the counter selling stamps and taking letters. But I didn't realize you had to be old and hurt and already a postman before you could take that job.
Old and hurt.
Pretty much. Yeah. So I applied. I didn't hear anything for 8 months. In the meantime, I got a job at the Home Depot, which was even worse than the call center.
Ooh, jeez.
Yeah, don't ever work at the Home Depot. And then 8 months later, the post office called and said, hey, we'd like you to come in for an interview. So I did, and I got not hired per se, but taken on as a casual. Because there's levels, right? You start off as a casual, and you just get called in randomly whenever they need somebody.
Okay,
it's like part-time kind of thing.
It's less than part-time.
Oh, gotcha.
You're a sub.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I did that maybe a year and a half, and then I was part-time as an inside sorter for a year and a half, and finally, after just over 3 years, full-time.
I can imagine being a sorter would be kind of zen, kind of meditative, you know? Is it kind of like that? Or was it also painful?
It was brutal. I hated working inside. The supervisor was like a prison guard, and you couldn't look at your phone or talk to your coworkers. You just had to do the job. So not fun. And then I finally got hired as a relief carrier full-time, which means I didn't have my own route, but whenever somebody was sick or whatever, you just took over their route for either a day or a week or whatever.
Gotcha.
So in your time as a postal carrier, what is the worst weather conditions you've gone out in?
Gosh.
Minus 50 degrees Celsius. I don't know. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit.
What is that in real degrees?
I'm gonna hold on, real degrees. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on, minus 50 Celsius.
Well, I know that once you get into the minuses, it actually gets a little less impressive with Celsius.
Well, 0 degrees for us is 32 for you.
Yeah.
Okay, minus 50 Celsius is actually minus 58 Fahrenheit. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So
how'd you not die?
Well, here's the rule. If it's minus 45 degrees or below with either the temperature or the wind chill, we don't go out. But at that particular time, how did it go? I think we hadn't gone out for 3 days, and there was a few routes that needed to go out. So the 30 of us went and did 3 routes for like maybe half an hour each just to get some of the mail out. So it was not a very long time we were out there.
Holy Toledo, that's great.
I mean, do you guys have that same similar mantra they have in the States that, you know, through rain or shine or whatever it is, that the postal carriers, you always go out no matter what?
The customers will quote that to us when they see us trudging, but I don't think we have an official motto.
Like, we ain't following that crap.
This is in the U.S. I don't have to be here.
That's right. Yeah.
That's insane.
And don't U.S. postal guys actually drive a truck around? Or are there walkers too?
There are walkers.
Okay.
I had to look up some factoids.
Because they usually park the truck and then walk down the whole, street, right? That's what typical thing is?
Well, they actually have started in the, I think, late 80s, early 90s. That's currently 7,000 carriers that operate solely on foot, and they're called the Fleet on Feet.
Oh,
Huh. Interesting.
But yeah, 7,000 carriers that have no truck, nothing.
Well, what do you do, Shawn?
I don't have a truck. I sort my mail in the morning, throw it into bags. The truck drivers throw it into the relay boxes on the corners, and then I walk out and I walk back. And I'm out there for about, on average, 23,000 steps a day.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Is that 8 hours or more?
We get paid 8 hours, but basically we go till we're finished.
So if it finished early, you're in luck. If you don't, you're not in luck, basically.
Exactly. Like on Friday, I start at 7:30 every day, and I'm usually out there by 9:30 or 10. And I walked till 1:30. I got back to the post office, came back to 5 sets of flyers. It took an hour and 45 minutes to collate those all together for Monday, and I was done at 3:30, which is my regular quit time.
Nice.
All right.
But on a good day, I could start at 7:30, be out there by 9:30, and be back by 12:30.
Wow.
And just do sorting stuff when you get back.
If there's no flyers, then I just put my keys in the safe, and I'm done at 12:30.
Nice.
Wow. All right.
On a good day, of course.
That's a good day. Yeah. There's about 10 good days a year.
Well, I would love to ask, what's your worst interaction with a person? Or if there's several stories, that's fine.
What about the guy who chased me down the street asking where his check was?
Okay.
There was,
where did you put it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's funny, and people think they're funny. I'll be walking down the street delivering to the businesses, and just random people will say, "Hey, you got my check?"
It's like, no, that's not
I don't
funny.
even know who you
check.
are. Just stop talking to me. Let me put my headphones back in so I can listen to podcasts all day.
That is the one benefit of all the walking on your own is just the podcast listening, I'd imagine.
Oh, it is. It's great. I listen to 4 or 5 shows a day.
That's awesome.
Wow. Would you say that's the best part of your job? Or what would you say is the best part of your job?
Listening to podcasts while I walk.
All right. I'll take it.
So you're not exactly wanting to stay in that job forever.
Well, I have 18 and a half years until I'm 60 and I can retire. And
Not
it's
too
good
bad.
money. Not too bad. And it's good money. So really, I don't know what else I would do.
I think it's a good deal. And
Plus, they get free healthcare up there and stuff. So that's got to be nice.
that's true.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I want to live in Canada.
Go figure.
Except for the negative 50 degrees. I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's not fun. I live up here in Timmins. It's what I call the land that culture forgot. So I had to start a podcast.
And then now there's a comic book
And a
shop
con.
there and a con. It's getting better.
It's getting slowly better. I've been here in this town for 15 years, and it's pretty horrible, but it's where I am.
How many stoplights does your town have?
4.
Wow. The fact that you were able to give me an actual number in itself is impressive.
It's right beside the igloo.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
How far is that from the ice floes where you put your elders out on?
It's in our backyard, actually. It's we take the dog sled up there.
That's so terrible stereotypes. Oh my god.
Just a little miniature Iditarod every day.
Oh,
Just every
that's
day.
right. That's right. What else can I tell you, Boot?
Oh god.
Hey.
Oh goodness.
What is the worst part of your job?
What is the worst part? Probably the temperature. Working in the rain. I think rain is worse than snow.
Okay.
It could be the flyers because I was off for the last 2 weeks. Went back to work this week and was given Canadian Tire flyers, which are catalogs, and they were half a pound each, and I had 700 of
Oh jeez.
Wow.
them. Plus the mail
That's
and
a
other
lot
flyers
of weight.
and parcels.
Jeez.
And no car.
No car, just walk out. Some people take cabs to their destination and cab it back. So half of the routes are cabs, half the routes are on foot.
Interesting. So, one question I want to ask, it kind of relates to this movie as well, is that in the United States, it feels like there's an unspoken respect for mailmen, and just like basically they're kind of thought of as you're always excited to see them. They're kind of like, and they know their job's really hard. They're out in the sun, and back in the 50s, people always get them lemonade. It's like just they're known as good people until they go crazy and shoot up a place or something. But
Right.
is that same thing felt in Canada, where like they're respected, mailmen are respected?
Well, a few years ago, the people in charge told us that mailmen, I think, were either the second or the third most respected profession.
Huh.
And some people, when it's really hot out, do offer us water or to come inside for a coffee and warm up. There used to be an old man on an old route that I was on who would offer me a Pepsi every day, so that was nice.
That is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you do develop relationships with your customers, and it's not bad sometimes.
That's pretty good. So it's kind of similar, I feel. And
I think so.
There's a lot more unlocked doors and friendly faces in Canada anyway, so it just feels that way anyways.
I don't know about that. I don't go into people's houses, but
but I could.
But I could, because I've got my uniform on and I'm on official business.
That's how the porno starts.
You have a badge to flash.
No badge, unfortunately.
Oh, you don't have a badge? Man, you got to get a badge.
That would be awesome.
Just a fake
Just
one.
make one.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's really cool. And before we go, do you have any thoughts on the movie The Postman itself? Have you seen it?
I saw it when it first came out, so it's probably been at least 15 years since I saw it. What was that, 97?
Yep, 97.
Say it's why you became a postman.
No, I would not say that.
It's so bad. It's so...
No, it's not.
I don't remember it being very good. I do remember it being long.
Yes.
And was it Tom Petty that was in it?
Yeah, he was for a little bit.
It has
Yes.
no
See,
impact on the plot. Like zero impact.
No. All I remember is that he stole a uniform from a car because it was an apocalyptic wasteland, and he decided to go deliver the mail or something. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah, that was actually the script meeting they had.
I believe it.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little glimpse of your life as a Canadian letter carrier. And it's pretty awesome that you do what you do. And I hope you stick with it for those 18 years and get an awesome pension and live happily ever after.
Well, that's the plan. I appreciate that.
And we'll have you on again sometime soon to talk about something else, like Star Trek related, I'm sure, because we've still got a few films left to review for that. So
I would love to come back anytime at all for anything.
Oh, we appreciate that. Well, cool. And so now here's the time where we're going to plug everything that Shawn has. Where can people find you?
Oh, I'm on Twitter at Darth Vaderloo. That's Darth Vader with L-O-O on the end. What else am I? I'm also at Soulforge Pod. I'm also at The Rusted Robot. I'm on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Darth Vaderloo. Listen to my podcast, the Soulforge Podcast and The Rusted Robot. I think that's it.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. And you can also go to the pages on Facebook for Soulforge Podcast and for The Rusted Robot Podcast.
And you can wave to him when he's delivering your mail.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Give him a nice cold Pepsi.
Yes, and a rump.
Whoa.
And a rum, yes. That'd be great. For a second there, I thought you said a rub, and I was like, whoa, that's getting a little personal.
I don't deliver to those areas of town.
Very nice.
I'm looking forward to your episode, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to A Play on Nerds. Find all of this content and even more nerdy news, reviews, and fun at www.aplayonnerds.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter so you know the exact second we release new podcasts, articles, and other nerdy content. We know you're impatient. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Podbean, Buzzsprout, Podomatic, and whatever the hell else you use. Also, please leave us a rating and review on your chosen podcast platform so we can be discovered by even more nerds like yourself. However you do it, check us out. And how.
Do you like movies? Do you like TV?
Do you like discussing the temporal effects of non-linear time travel and its implication on the plot of the movie Looper?
Okay. Do you enjoy the latest in pop culture news? Do you enjoy superheroes?
Do you enjoy discussing the relative merits of superpowers and their effects on human physiology?
Anyways, if you enjoy these things, even a small amount, you'll love the Rusted Robot Podcast.
Find us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, YouTube, and make sure to subscribe.
so you never miss an episode. Subscribe so you never miss an episode.
therustedrobot.podbean.com.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Shawn Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on The Soul Forge.
SoulForgePodcast.com.